I haven't had a chance to join you because we have multiple committees at the same time, but did note yesterday, I guess it was yesterday's Wall Street Journal, that they were saying something about a tremendous oversupply of strip malls and malls in general, everything like that. Does that mean we don't need the tax credits we've already overbuilt, or what do you think about that?
You know, my dear friend Gar Herring was quoted in that article, and we're going to have a talk, he and I. I'm not so sure that everybody would agree with the entire article in terms of the overbuilding. I think, having been in the real estate business as long as I have, since before the '86 tax change, and watched capital structures changed, and I think retail is suffering some of the consequences of weakness in other parts of the economy. But frankly, we are much better as an industry now about building things that are pre-leased and building things that are necessary at the time and are substantially reviewed. That does not mean, though, that if everybody starts losing their homes and other businesses start closing and people stop shopping, that it's not going to look like we have too much retail, or that some retailers aren't then going to have to retrench, close stores, potentially even declare bankruptcy, which then fulfills that cycle and puts us in that position. I would submit to you that it's not quite like that. Having said all that, even through all of these endeavors in what is primarily a suburban development business that's taken place in the last 10 years, many of the projects in the urban markets still haven't been done. And they haven't been done in part because those were easier to do. And the reason they were easier to do is because when you measure them under the same time frame and same parameters as those urban deals, the suburban deal always came out on top. So things that can be used to help manage that and put the projects where many people are living, which have been abandoned for some 30 or 40 years, could be a significant value.
Well, thank you for answering that question. It does obviously depend on your assumptions and parameters and where the economy is going and all that. One other quick question. I don't know that this was something you addressed specifically or not, but as a guy who's been here now 8 years, when we did the dividend capital gains tax cut, which was politically a pretty unpopular thing to do, it appeared that almost immediately after that, there were 3 charts that I have in my office, that there was a tremendous effect on the economy. The first thing was we were running at losing about 140,000 jobs a month rate, and within almost instantaneously, first quarter of 2003, when we did dividends capital gains, we turned around and saw a fairly steady increase in jobs at about 160,000 jobs gained per month. Very big turnaround. The gross domestic product had been very erratic up and down for the first number of because I came in with the president, so the 2001, 2002, very up and down quarterly gross domestic product. That jumped up about from about 1.4 average, but it was, as I said, erratic, to about, up into the 4s. And the third thing is that government revenues also jumped up significantly. Even though we did a tax cut, the result was you had enough business stimulation from dividends, capital gains, apparently, that you had a tremendous increase in federal revenues. Now, I'm making the assumption that there was a causal relationship between the dividends, capital gains tax cut and what happened to the economy. That may or may not be true. Is it your opinion that tax cut is very important to business in general, or do you think there's other tax cuts you think are far more valuable?
Well, in my business as a real estate developer, it's probably the single most important thing that we look at in terms of whether we build something, how long we hold it, what we do with it, how we structure the capital. And that's why, so capital gains taxes would be significant for us, and increases there would be more devastating than many other things. The carried interest issue is also of significant importance for that very same reason, because most small developers own things that they don't profit from until it's ultimately sold at the end of the day, because everybody else has to be paid back first. We're in the risk position. And so those two things combined could be devastating to small business.
The other members of the panel, is that an important tax cut, dividends, capital gains, relative to your businesses?
Well, I think the way I would comment on it is that we're expected to make a significant return on investments that we make. When I get a personal tax cut, I probably get a 1-for-1 return, and sometimes I may not even do that. But as a responsibility for a business, I have got to make a bigger return on it. So I think that investment does look for a larger return that creates more jobs and a healthier economy. So I absolutely believe that that's the case.
I would just say that anything that reduces the capital gains tax cut helps markets be more efficient, which allows money to go towards the best opportunity rather than being constrained by some artificial barrier.
So you're saying the dividend capital gains tax cut, from your point of view, is very important to the strength of the economy?
I think it's very important. I think it should be cut further.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.